Let's talk to Jennifer Ewing from Republicans Overseas. Jennifer, very good morning to you.
Nice to see you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Not only do we want an economy of opportunity, but we also want the light of hope in the sky. I mean, this woman, how did she even get to be vice president?
Well, we know how she did, because after that debate, they forced Biden out of office, and rather than having a primary for their Democrat voters like we did on the Republican side, they coronated Kamala and thought that the political information complex, the media, could run cover for her, which they mostly did, actually.
They did.
They did, and but that speech she just gave, it sounded exactly like her stump speeches, the very few that she did give during her campaign. So what won for Trump really gets back to something very simple, where he won on the issues.
Yes, he did. Because you say that she was given cover by the media, and that cover ran all the way up to election day, to polling day, really, because even during polling day, we kept being told, oh, it's very close, you know, there's no chance of Trump landslide. In fact, if anything, there's going to be a Kamala Harris landslide, and they must have known that that wasn't right. They must have known that.
I'm guessing they did, because, and that's probably why she took so long to, well, she spoke last night, as you know, and she didn't speak the night where it was pretty clear Trump had won decisively.
Yes.
Now, even in 2016, Hillary Clinton did make the phone call to Donald Trump that night, conceding.
Right.
So I think if there was a misstep for Kamala Harris, she probably should have made the phone call that night, conceded, and fine, wait a day to give your speech, get your thoughts together. She'd probably been brainwashed into thinking she was going to win as well. I mean, if you listen to some of those, I don't know, TikToks or videos you just played, a lot of people really believed the rhetoric that Trump is a fascist, that it's the end of democracy, all these horrible things, that he's a racist, a misogynist. The irony, if you look at the numbers, is that he did better with black men, with Latinos, with women, shock, and, well, not to me, but to many, and younger people. And, when we hear Biden speak this afternoon, what I would love to hear him say is,
goodbye.
Kamala Harris Kamala Harris underperformed Biden in every single county in the United States of America. So she was not a better candidate. They actually would have been better off with him. With him,
exactly right. And I think I'm right in saying that she's one of the worst ever Democratic nominees in terms of what she achieved in terms of polling as well. Is there any chance, do you think, because we had a question on this earlier, that Joe Biden gets up this afternoon and says, actually, because of now what's happened, I'm going to step aside and leave Kamala in charge because, I don't want to do it anymore?
No way. He is furious at what happened and the people behind what happened. So no, he's not pleased. He was kept pretty much, other than a few speeches, calling the Trump voters garbage and whatnot. He was kept out of the public eye. So, there's a contentious relationship there. I do not think he's going to make her the first female president.
No. I just wondered if that might be the case. Funnily enough, there was talk of him doing that, wasn't there, after the Democratic convention. They thought, well, if he was to step aside, because the question I asked, and I asked it as soon as he was removed as the candidate, I said, well, not only should he not be the candidate, but I don't think he should even be president at this point, because I was talking to somebody earlier, I mean, they're calling him a lame duck president, but he's still got 65, 66 days to go. He doesn't appear to be in control really of anything at all. He went to bed at 9 o'clock on polling day. He hasn't said anything since Donald Trump became the president-elect. He basically doesn't appear to be in charge of anything at all. He hasn't made any statements about any policy. He hasn't said anything about Israel recently. He hasn't said much about Ukraine. He doesn't really seem to have a view on, world events. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
No, you're right. And you and I talked about this, Mike, even before the handover to Kamala Harris. He has been an absent president. Yeah. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why Trump did so well. People talk about the administrative state, the deep state, whatever. The government, the unelected bureaucrats that run things, without the man who, it was Joe Biden, who was elected in 2020. And he can be completely absent from the domestic scene, from the foreign scene. And the place still runs. So what does that tell you? I think that's why Trump is going to bring on Elon Musk to look into that sort of thing. And yeah, we cannot have unelected bureaucrats running our country.
Right. And as far as what happens now, just for people who are not familiar with the process, we enter a sort of period of transition, don't we? So the Trump transition team goes into the White House. They start to do, you know, the work that they will prepare for Donald Trump and his inauguration in January. Does he need to sort of appoint people that we need to know about, or can he just appoint people quietly and sort of get on with it? Because obviously, you know, we saw Steve Bannon yesterday coming out and being quite bullish actually about what he's going to do for the Democrats. He's going to try and, you know, hunt them down, find out who it was that kind of, you know, made the witch hunt against the Republicans, because he ended up going to jail, as did a couple of his other colleagues. I mean, is Steve Bannon and his ilk going to be back, or what?
Well, I don't know if Steve Bannon will be in an official position, but he has been incredibly influential with his podcast. And you're right, he is a political prisoner for contempt of Congress, which, by the way, Alexander Mayorkas had the same thing and didn't go to prison. Right. So I'll never forget meeting Steve Bannon in London at a dinner in 2019, and I asked him about J.D. Vance and the book Hillbilly Elegy. So we were talking about J.D. Vance even back then, and Steve Bannon said something very interesting to the room in London. He said, in a small dinner, and he said, I am an economic populist nationalist, and you all should be too. And the point was, it is okay to look after your own country and your own needs, and indeed the people of your country. So that's the spirit going forward. With regards to appointing, you know, new people in his cabinet or official positions, unofficial positions. In 2016, Trump will tell you he did not expect to win. So the positions were cobbled together kind of last minute. He took advice from a lot of people he probably shouldn't taken advice from. That's why you saw a lot of these generals that ended up very disgruntled and, you know, doing interviews. But no, he's got a good team around him. We've seen Tulsi. We've seen Bobby Kennedy Jr., which he's going to give some great health and the pharmaceutical, you know, situation too. We've got Vivek. And obviously Elon Musk, you know, is going to fight censorship, all sorts of things. So this is exciting. There'll be other less known people doing big things as well. And those discussions will have already been had. Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer, we're all looking forward to it. Thank you very much indeed. Jennifer Ewing from Republicans Overseas.